ordinary world in the heart of Lahore, amid honking rickshaws and crowded bazaars. A vegetable cart rattled down a narrow lane. The cart belonged to Abdul Karim, a weathered man with kind eyes, who had spent decades selling tomatoes, onions, and coriander. His son Ayaan, just 12 years old, helped him every morning before school, with his small hands sorting potatoes and his thin voice calling out prices. Ayaan looked like every other vendor's child except for the books he carried in a worn-out satchel on his back. Ayaan loved school. He loved the smell of chalk, the rhythm of reciting poems, and the thrill of solving math problems. But in his world, education was considered a luxury, not a necessity. Many of his friends had already dropped out to earn money. His father's card barely brought in enough to cover food and rent. Yet, inside Ayaan's heart, a spark burned down, unshakable belief that life could be more than survival. Called to adventure one humid afternoon, as Ayaan stacked cucumbers neatly on the cart, his teacher passed by. "Ayaan," she said warmly, "you have a gift. You must keep studying. There's a scholarship exam coming up. If you win, your tuition will be free." Her words felt like a doorway opening to another world. That night, under the dim light of a single bulb in their one-room home, Ayaan whispered his dream to his father. "Abu, I want to sit for the scholarship exam. If I win, I can study without worrying about fees." Karim looked at his son with tired eyes. He wanted nothing more than to see Ayaan succeed, yet reality pressed down. "Beta, life is not easy. Books don't put food on the table." But seeing the fire in Ayaan's eyes, he finally sighed. "Try, my son, just try and never give up." Refusal of the call. The next weeks were hard. Ayaan would wake at dawn to help push the vegetable cart, then rush to school. By the time he returned home, exhaustion clung to his body. Studying after long days felt impossible. Sometimes he thought, maybe Abu is right. Maybe this dream is too big for someone like me. But every time despair crept in, he remembered his teacher's words and the hope in his father's voice when he said try. That was enough to keep going, meeting mentors and allies. At school, his teacher, Miss Seema, began giving him extra lessons after class. She saw his determination and fueled it with encouragement. Even his classmates, though some teased him for being the vendor's son, started lending him old notebooks and past exam papers. At home, Karim, though weary, began letting Ayaan study a little longer in the evenings by managing extra rounds with the cart himself. "Don't worry about me," he would say, sweat dripping down his brow. "Your books are your real work." Crossing the threshold, the day of the scholarship exam arrived. Ayaan wore his only clean white shirt, ironed carefully by his mother. As he sat among dozens of students, his heart pounded like a drum. The questions were tough, but he remembered his teacher's voice. "Stay calm. You know this." When he handed in the paper, he wasn't sure if he had done enough. Yet walking back home through the noisy streets, he felt something new. Courage, tests, trials, and challenges. Weeks passed with no news. Meanwhile, Karim fell ill. The cart stood still, and Ayaan had to step in fully, shouting prices and balancing the accounts. School assignments piled up. Hunger gnawed at his belly some nights. Doubt whispered again. How can a vegetable vendor's son dream of scholarships? One evening, a friend told him, "Ayaan, just quit. You're wasting time. No one like us goes far." But instead of breaking him, those words ignited his resolve. He remembered his father's mantra, never give up. That night, he studied harder than ever, his lamp burning past midnight. The ordeal finally, the results were posted at the district office. Ayaan stood in the crowd, his stomach twisting. His trembling finger traced down the list of names. For a moment, he thought his eyes deceived him, but there it was. Ayaan Karim, first place. Tears blurred his vision. He ran home, the scholarship letter clutched to his chest. His father, frail but smiling, embraced him tightly. "You did it, Beta. You proved dreams are stronger than poverty. Reward the transformation." The scholarship not only covered Ayaan's tuition, but also gave a small stipend. For the first time, books and uniforms came without crushing worry. Ayaan studied with unshakable focus, excelling in every subject. Years later, he earned admission into a top university, something no one from his neighborhood had ever achieved. But he didn't stop there. After graduating, he returned to his community not as a vendor's son, but as a teacher. He opened a small school in a rented building, giving free lessons to children of laborers, rickshaw drivers, and vendors. "If I could do it," he told them, "so can you." Return with the elixir. Standing before rows of eager faces, chalk in hand, Ayaan felt the journey come full circle. He had carried his father's cart, endured hunger, fought against doubt, and emerged stronger. Now, he passed on not only knowledge but also hope. His father, now old but proud, would sometimes sit outside the classroom and listen. Watching his son, he would whisper, "This is our real harvest." Moral: Ayaan's story became a quiet legend in his neighborhood. Parents told their children about the vendor's son who never gave up, who carried both vegetables and books, and who transformed his life through perseverance. The lesson was clear. Dreams are not bound by poverty. They are bound only by the strength of one's will. And no matter how heavy the burden, if you never give up, you can rewrite destiny.